Morning everyone. Today I'm going to be shooting a waterfall. I'm still in the Yorkshire Dales and I've come to Scaleber Foss. But after last week's video where I'm trying to shoot a long exposure, a 2-minute one with a tree in it, I think this is going to actually be quite difficult with this wind. Hopefully down there it's quite sheltered. Let's go and see.
So welcome to the famous Scaleber Foss here in the Yorkshire Dales, and this is the final stop for me after being taken around kindly by Gary Sugden on a whistle-stop tour. Now there are multiple beautiful cascades here that you can photograph, but there is one thing that gets in the way.
Well, that is mighty impressive. Wow. It's a lot bigger than you think it's going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can see at least 8 cascades. Don't think you're going to get them all in though. Right. Let's get set up. Well, I've got to warn you that the slope down to get to the top falls, it's really precarious, very slippy. You get mud in your grip in your shoes, and this limescale, you just slip, and it's steep, it's like that. So, yeah, come down with caution, to be quite honest. Not a good thing. So, initial assessment. Well, I think I'm going to start at the top, shoot that one. Then I'm going to come down here to this level, and then I'll move down to the 3rd level down there. So I'll just work this backwards, I think. Now everybody says there's a tree that gets in the way, and they're probably right, to be honest. So I need to get up on there. I'll just jump. Whoa. Oh. Don't jump. Wow, yeah, it's slippy, as you can see. It's all right. Let's see what we can do with this top section. Well, I'll try and keep you away from the water noise as best I can, but I can't promise anything, I'll be honest. Well, I think I quite like the way I've got you guys set up. I think there's something in that. There's a boulder down here that I quite like the look of. That might be useful. Or I might just get straight into the plunge pool. There's a stick that's jutting up out of the middle of it. Might be able to do something with that. It's whether I'm going to get too much spray on the camera. Good job I got my wellies on. We're going wading.
And there we have it. It's a tree that's the photographer's curse at this location, but up the top 2 sections of this waterfall, you can get a clean shot, so that's where I start.
Well, for our first composition, I want to try and work with this little stick and these rocks that are here, a little bit more of an intimate scene. The sky is just completely grey, there's nothing up there, and with the leaves moving, I try to avoid those as well in this shot. Just try and keep this really simple and about the waterfall. So let's get the camera off there, see if I can work a com, and get our first shot in the bag. Okay, so first competition is set up, and I think I'm going to be taking 2 from here. One I'll have to just slightly back up a few feet for. I really like this. So we've got the veil of the waterfall coming in from the left-hand side. In fact, let me switch this into video mode. There we go. Right, let me just back that out so you can see what I'm seeing. Oh, that's as wide as I can go. So effectively, that is the scene we're looking at. Now it's going to be slightly wider than this, and I'm allowing myself a bit of room in the bottom here. So there's a rock just down there, that one. I'm leaving it so I could change this to a different aspect ratio and just take that rock out and take away that foreground. But as it stands, I'm going to take it with it in. Now, in the actual camera view, that rock is included, so that's what we're going for. So we got the rock in the bottom, down here. That's a feature. The stick is a feature, believe it or not. This wonderful veil coming in, and then we've got the waterfall, obviously, at the top. And we've got some lovely side mossy rocks. Right, here we go then. Focus on the rock in front of me to start with. That's that. Wipe the lens. And take the first shot. 3-second delay. And let's see what the water texture looks like. Ah, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right, so 1/4 second it is. So, and now I need to get one for the background. I've probably got it in one, to be honest, with the first shot, but better safe than sorry. So focus on the background, wipe the lens, 3-second delay, and there we go. Oh, spot on, absolutely spot on.
So I love the texture that you get with the 1/4 second in the waterfall, but I did also take a 4-second exposure for the foreground as well, and that gave it that lovely ethereal look when it was blended in. I opted for a black and white conversion on this one. What do you think? Colour or black and white?
Right, so for this next shot I want to be in a landscape orientation, and I need to back up a touch. Now I think I prefer no polarizer today, so I'm going to do the rest of the shots with either very minimal or no polarizer. Back a touch more. Okay, so I've backed up all the way to the rock here that's in the foreground. It's not included in the comp, but what I do have are these boulders that are down on the right. Ledge coming in, and in the water in the foreground we've got some bubbles that are sweeping around towards us, so I think they'll make a great little lead-in line if I can capture them. So that's my thoughts with that, and again I'll probably take 2 shots, one focused on the rock, one focused on the waterfall itself, and then probably take one for the moving leaves that are at the top. Right, composition number 2.
So again with this shot, I've blended in a 6-second exposure for the bottom half of the image. Now I did opt to not use a polarizer, and the reason for this is it will cut through the water in the foreground. Now that's a good thing sometimes, but in this case it's going to reduce the amount of streaking I get, and it would eliminate that hazy mystical look to the water that's filling that section of the frame in the bottom left corner.
Let's move away from this tier and get down to the next one. Nah, me new hat. Well, for this next shot, I've had to come up quite high. I've got 3 cascades in this shot. I've got the one that's in front of me. I've got the middle ground, which was my problem. I've got the big cascade, and then I've got the one right at the top. And they're all feeding, they're feeding in from kind of the top thirds, running down, and then coming out and splaying out in the bottom of the frame. But the problem I'm having is this mid-ground here. If I get too low, it's cutting off the base of the waterfall at the back. I've got as high as I can to kind of minimise that effect. Still does a little bit, but it gives me that bit more room in the mid-ground and doesn't squash it as much as it would if I was down at my normal height. Again, I've gone for a quarter of a second, and I've given myself a few options and taken a fast one for the leaves.
So for this shot, I ended up blending 4 images together to get the effect I wanted. So the foreground itself, the actual water in the foreground, that's taken at 6 seconds. Then the first set of rocks, I focused there, and that's my first quarter of a second. And then for the background, I've shot another quarter of a second. But then we had the trouble with the leaves at the top. So I shot at 1/50th of a second, eliminated any motion in those leaves.
So there we go, one from the mid-level. Let's see if there's one more, and then we'll go down another one. Oh dear, yeah. Well, for this shot, I've decided to go wide, and this is where we start to get that tree that's on the right-hand side come into play. Now it kind of works from this angle, but for me this is all about the foreground interest. So I've got a group of rocks that are in the bottom of the composition that are quite key for me. Again, the waterfall's coming in, I've cut out the sky. Effectively it's dropping down through the centre of the shot. The tree itself, all I've got is the root system and a section of the trunk. So it's more of an anchor point than it is a feature. I think I quite like this, and I do have a foamy section over there that looks like it might be making an eddy, so a longer exposure could work quite well with that. 1, 2, 3 waterfalls and a section of rock in the foreground. Yeah, brilliant. So I've had to use the polarizer on this because I'm getting specular highlights, and it's not quite killing them, so I'm slightly underexposing. Right, there we go, the wide shot.
So in this shot, I've used the same blending process as I did in the last one, but the use of the polarizer not only helps take away those specular highlights, but it does actually enrich the colours, helping those beautiful browns and greens to pop in this glorious ambient light.
Right, let's make our way down to the last layer on this big shelf, this big plateau. Now the tourists have started to arrive, so this will probably be the last of the shots. Right, let's go.
So here we go then, time to battle with the interfering tree of Scaleber Foss.
Okay, it's difficult. The problem is, if you get the tree intersecting with that join in the waterfall up at the top, then you've got these 2 cascades at the bottom, and I can't get them to line up in a way that doesn't look like they're going out of the frame and keep that tree where it needs to be. As soon as you tweak to get the foreground waterfalls in position, the tree is completely in the way. So I'm going around handheld. Maybe I'll just stumble across something.
Well, it's in my head now that this tree is going to be in the way, but is it really? Well, I actually really like some of the compositions that I've managed to achieve here, and I wish I'd shot them in earnest. My thought process was, if I could make it so it looks like that waterfall is curving around the tree by placing it at the intersection of the top 2 waterfalls, creating a sort of S-bend, and put most of the concentration of the image into the foreground, then that would work. And I think I was right. I should have gone with my gut.
Well, I've got to admit, this particular level has beaten me. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and see if there is anything there at all. And that's going to be my last shot of the day, I think.
So if you take nothing else away from this video, I hope the one thing you do is that you should always follow your own instincts and your own opinions.
Don't do that.
Apart from that one.
Okay, so very, very difficult again. Trouble is that tree. And of course, everything sweeps around and clings to this right edge. So you've got kind of a 1/2 photograph with a tree stuck in it, almost. I like the idea of incorporating the log. I should imagine a lot of people have. But from down here, I can't quite get it to work. It kind of pokes up into the waterfall. So I'm going to go over there and see if I can get a little bit of elevation and perch myself precariously on the path.
Well, I must admit that from this level the tree really does become a pain to shoot. It doesn't position itself well in any shot, but that is just my opinion. You make your own mind up. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Okay. Still struggling with the balance on this. I still feel that the waterfall that's on the bottom right, let me put you in camera. So it still feels a bit unbalanced. Now this will actually be slightly taller. It's the waterfall on the bottom right. So this one here. It just feels like it's flowing a bit too far out. I'd like to grab it like that and then just move it there. But I can't. Can't get there. I quite like the log in the bottom, this area over here, kind of here. This needs darkening down. Yeah, I'd just like to squash those waterfalls in a little bit more and get rid of that tree. But I think it's the best I can do. So, this will be the last shot of the day. Again, my thanks to Gary Sugden for the whistle stop tour, where he showed me where this place is. It's been a fantastic morning. Shame you can't get anything from down here and get all of those cascades in. Well, you can get something. It's just always going to have those little bugbears in it. Still, never mind. Nature is what nature is. So, I'd like to say thank you to you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.
So here's the only image I took from this level, and again I've placed the tree within the intersection of the two waterfalls at the top, and I've tried to achieve a sweep around the tree that leads you off to the right hand side of the image. I would have liked to have been able to shoot this further to the right so that I can bring those waterfalls slightly closer together, but then you push the tree far too much into the main waterfall at the back. So whilst I leave you with my favourite image from this shoot, if you've got anything from this video that you appreciate, then please like and subscribe. It does push me out to other members of the community that may benefit from this video as well. So, thank you very much guys. I'll see you all in the next one.